Where in the Folk is not and should not be viewed as a news source. Any names, places, or likenesses mentioned are purely fictional, and any information discussed is purely speculative. Guest opinions are their own and do not reflect those of anyone else. Where in the Folk is not responsible for content accuracy of any stories that are told or what people do with these stories. This show is vulgar, sometimes graphic, and due to its content, it should not be viewed by anyone, actually.
Welcome, everybody, to the episode of Where in the Folk. I'm joined today by Tucky and Morgana.
Hey.
So, as I was explaining before we started the show, I learned this week that I'm not a young buck anymore. I decided to go full force at the gym yesterday, and I have completely screwed myself over. I cannot lift my arms at all. I've had to get my wife to come in here and turn the light off. And
That's hilarious. It's not, but it is. Just you hollering at Mandy.
I've literally hurt myself to the point to where it's starting to feel better now that I've taken, like, I don't know, 30 BC powders.
Did you get you some nanners?
Got some nanners. But yeah, so I'm not young anymore, and it's very it's distressful.
Isn't it horrible?
It's awful.
Yeah.
I was like, I can surely go in here and do what these guys with these 28-inch pythons are doing, no problem.
28-inch pythons.
No problem.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
But
I'm trying to figure out how to type.
yeah. So I'm hoping our audio and everything's good. We're on a new streaming platform.
It appears that we're live to Rumble. We're live to Twitter. I'm going to check YouTube, and we should be good.
Groovy. I see this is the private chat. Let's see. Huh. Oh, well. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started with Weekly Funny for you all. So, have you all heard about this? Have you heard about this? There's a church selling land in heaven. So,
Okay.
Really?
several Christian churches, primarily of Spanish and Portuguese lineage, have recently gained attention for selling plots of land in heaven. You remember that episode of South Park? Where were you when they built that ladder to heaven? Have you watched that?
No.
Episode when they're building a ladder to heaven to get candy? But the concept is based on the ideal that these plots of land are guaranteed spots in heaven near God's palace, regardless of the size of the plot. So, the church claimed to have received permission from God to sell these plots. I can imagine that God's up there. We got a lot of land. There's some real equity here.
I know more people that probably sell some Southland too.
So the prices are starting at $100 per square meter, which is like, what, 3 feet?
Yes.
So $100 per square feet, per 3 square feet. And you also forego judgment of sin because you're reserved the space. So after you buy these plots of land, you can do pretty much anything you want down here.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know. I could get like 6 feet square feet or something. I can measure that up. I have to get a loan. But,
You just gonna hang out with your neighbors while you're up there?
Yeah. Be my luck. I have the neighbors I used to have in Manchester when I lived over there.
Right. Hey, Landa.
Lander. So a
Wow.
brochure circulating online features a middle-class home in the sky among the clouds with a family of 4 ascending golden steps towards the heavenly abode. Some churches have reportedly made millions of dollars off these sales, with payment options including credit cards and installment payments. So that sounds like a hell of a deal.
They must be really selling it.
Yeah.
Got to be really selling it.
But critics have likened the practice to the Catholic Church's historical sale of indulgences, sparking concern from the legitimacy and morality of this endeavor. That's the most brilliant business scheme since selling land on the fucking moon.
Yeah.
Or selling stars. You can buy a star.
You know what? There is a site where you can get a free star.
Really?
Yes, because I went and found it after I saw you could buy a star and name it for $5. And I'm like, I think there's going to be one out there to try to one-up them. And I found it years ago because I got all my nieces and nephews and all my grands and everybody won.
Thanks, Landa. I'm glad to be back. I'm going to be out again next week.
Because he don't love us anymore.
That's not true.
You need to go see Granny. I understand that.
Gotta go see Granny.
Yep.
Last week we had to take a retreat from both episodes, all 3 of us.
It was a bad week.
It was a bad
Yes,
week.
it was. Now, Tony had a good week.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
He was down there amongst a bunch of retirees.
Oh yeah, just kicking it. Just kicking
There's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're the youngest, because then you're like their grandkid and they just love you.
Yeah, everybody. We've been going down there so long. It's kind of like family at this point.
I mean, STDs are rampant down there, though.
Well, I don't have to worry about that.
I'm not talking about short-term disability either. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I see. So there's. I don't think Rumble counts in our number up there, but if I see people on Rumble, if somebody could comment from Rumble just to see if comments are coming through on this new software, that'd be awesome.
Yep.
You know, I've got to go back to this because I can't even I'm having trouble even lifting cigarettes to my mouth.
Yeah, it's bad, dude. When you overdo it like that.
It's a good time for you to quit smoking, Cecil.
Like I've been walking all day like a robot, and I caught myself in a mirror, and I'm walking kind of like somebody really high up in the government.
Okay.
And if I have to use the bathroom real quick, I might actually crap my pants too. I don't know. I'm wanting to drink the rest of this coffee, and I just can't. I can't do it.
On your churches, just an aside here.
Yeah.
What's different from doing that than building a $17 million home for the preacher because God wants you to have nice things?
Also, going back to episode South Park, there are situations where they need a Starfleet destroyer. And donations definitely help build that. You never know. You never know when an alien on another world needs a little Christ in their life.
Yeah, we can do that here. We can do that here on the channel. Don't buy a square meter in heaven from the church. Buy it from us.
Yes.
We'll sell you a square mile in limbo for $12,000.
Well, I will tell you what. Here's a guarantee. If you send that $100 a square meter to us, I will actually draw out the neighborhood and put your home in it, and you will actually see who the people already there are. So you can say, no, I don't want to be in that house. Move me 3 over so I'm not next to Tully.
Yeah. So if you bought the $100 square meter, do you think you have to stay in that for all eternity?
Well, I think you should be able to visit your neighbors. So, if you had a spare couch, we could come over and sleep with you.
Right.
So that's what we do is each one of us buy a square meter and then we all pitch in together and buy one big house and we'll just put in bunk rooms.
Landa said the limbo thing was a good deal.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I think so. It's a mile compared to. It's a mile.
That's right.
All right. So before,
People don't understand though distances because I'm sorry, Tully, for interrupting you.
I know you're fine.
Back 15 years or so ago, there was this land out in Colorado. It was like over 100,000 acres, and it ran up against federal forest land. And I was telling my then sister-in-law, I'm like, all of us except you can work remotely and do our jobs. I said, so we could go in together, and the price was amazing for what it was. And I'm like, so we can each, pay on the note, and we could just all move out there. And she goes, I just don't know if I want to live that close to y'all. And I figured it up. I'm like, we could literally each take a corner, and we'd be 20 miles apart.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm like, 100,000 acres, Chelsea. We don't have to be anywhere near each other.
That's a lot of land.
Yes. It had lakes and springs, and I'm like, man.
Well, you guys know that we don't get into politics much, but we just want to show you the official Where in the Folk candidate for president.
All right.
And I'm going to share the screen so that Cecil can play the video.
I hope there's sound.
There's not. Yeah, there is. Maybe not. There's not.
Aw.
I'll let you reshare it with sound, Cecil.
I hear it. But
did you hear it, Morgana?
No.
Okay.
Hell. But this guy is preaching the truth.
He really is preaching the truth. I'm excited.
I thought we were going for Dolly and Willie.
Wait until you hear what he has to say.
That's my guy.
Okay, now it does have audio. I see it.
Let's do it.
Vote for me, and there won't be no more secret government bullshit. If we can't say it with our fucking chest out, we ain't doing it. Cause I'm running for shit. Vote for me, cause fucking Antarctica. Oh, okay, nothing to see down there. Then why are all y'all fucking down there? We finna see. Cause I'm running for shit. Vote for me, and I'll teach y'all how to fish. Just in case I can't get these fucking grocery prices down. Neither one of them have been to a grocery store in 30 years. How you gonna know how much shit costs if you don't buy your own motherfucking groceries? Cause I'm running for shit. Vote for me! And I'll keep our waterways safe. The orcas are pissed off because of fucking SeaWorld. I told them to knock that shit off a long time ago. Cause I'm running for shit.
This is a free motherfucking message. Anybody can fucking get it. Brought to you by Captain motherfucking Isosceles.
You've got to send that to me so I can send it to my husband and tell him we've got a candidate.
That is who. So he's posting one of those like every day where he's just talking about what he's going to do when he's president.
Just send me dude's name. That'll work.
That's
I don't know, can you see what his name is on there, Cecil? Or did you close it?
His name is I ain't got my glasses on. Hang on, this is gonna be an endeavor.
I'm the young one in the group tonight compared to Cecil.
Bruce Mahiko.
Landa, I was thinking about that too.
It's Bruce Mahkenii. There's 3 I's at the end. I can't pronounce it. So
I'll just search for running for shit on TikTok. How about that?
I wish I could comment it here. He's funny though. I'd vote for him.
Yeah, I think he's really preaching the truth.
Well, you remember that movie? It had Richard Pryor in it, and he won $300 million, but he had to spend $30 million in 30 days to get the whole thing.
Oh yeah, Brewster's Billions.
Brewster's Millions, yes. that was his whole thing when he decided to run, is write in none of the above. So we could all get together and write dude in and see how he did. I mean,
Yeah.
he's good of a shot of anybody else we got out there right now.
I mean, he's going to take us to Antarctica.
Yeah,
What more could you ask for?
that's true. We are an Antarctica bunch.
You know, I just realized how good of a deal that land in heaven actually is. 2 acres is 50 G's roughly. That's pretty sweet. Really?
Not bad. Not bad.
At all. Not bad at all.
Okay, so we should probably start speed running.
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, so the first thing that we brought for this week, there's been some spycraft going on apparently. Ex-CIA analyst, I'm going to say this without laughing. Her name is Sue Terry. And she has been charged with spying, not for North Korea, but South Korea in exchange for luxury handbags.
Nice.
And she is a former senior official at the National Security Council and a CIA analyst. She was charged with serving as a secret agent to South Korea's intelligence service. And there's been an indictment that's been filed. Apparently, she was bought out using high-end handbags and expensive sushi dinners in exchange for advocating South Korean government positions, sharing non-public information with their intelligence officers, facilitating access for South Korean officials to U.S. government officials. And it says she's received about $37,000 in covert funding, but she got a $2,900 Bottega Veneta handbag, a $3,400 Louis Vuitton handbag, and a $2,800 Dolce & Gabbana coat in exchange for her services and expensive dinners at Michelin star restaurants.
What would you do it for?
Like to betray my country?
Yeah.
Well, first off, I think anybody that spends $2,900 on a handbag needs to be shot because there are babies going to bed hungry at night.
Well, I mean, here's the deal. She was already in the CIA. You are kidding yourself if you don't think that, or if you think that you can get away with something like this with the way our intelligence agencies work, especially like foreign mediaries or someone trying to defect. It would literally take like a Snowden level escape to not be surveilled in those kind of situations. So,
oh yeah,
they probably already knew. She probably pissed off the wrong person, because think about how many people are probably doing this sort of stuff, like setting up meetings.
Oh,
They're greasing her hands just to set up meetings between government officials is what it amounts to.
oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know if that's like full on betrayal. It's not like she's, getting choked out by Kim Jong every night or something.
I wish somebody would offer to buy me stuff to spy on Mandy. Like, I would just sit there and take notes all day. Like, 12 o'clock, she ate a cheese sandwich. Like, something fun.
Yeah. So, this was sort of like grazing the headlines. It was kind of a slow week for weird stuff. So you're going to hear a lot of stuff like this week. We do have some weird stuff, though.
I did hear this week that hippopotamuses can become airborne for substantial periods of time.
How?
And evidently a substantial period of time to scientists is 0.3 seconds.
Oh, that's more than I can.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm dead serious. They said that unlike other land animals like elephants and horses, they exclusively trot when they're moving, and they are the fastest animal to do that. And said they were monitoring video footage taken of these two hippos moving around. And that's when they started noticing when they're doing that full-on trot, they're staying airborne for periods of time.
What have you ever seen one swim? Like
They're fast.
they are fast, but
They're very fast.
and
Yeah.
they're dangerous as hell. Like
And very aggressive too, from my understanding.
yeah, they are. Like I was watching somebody was boating down the river, and you just seen one coming up like a speedboat. Man, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's wild.
So that's my contribution to weird stuff.
that,
Evidently, hippos hover.
They hover.
So the reason this week's promo picture had a big ass chicken in it is because last Friday after the show, there was a big news dump by Colorado and the CDC. They did after hours on a Friday on a potential H5N1 bird bovine flu outbreak. Now, the reason I threw this in here is because we talked about this, if you remember, about a month or two ago in Texas. There was a big outbreak. They culled a bunch of chickens. Like, wasn't it like the biggest culling that's ever happened or something?
Yeah, that's huge.
So Colorado has now tested 55 symptomatic poultry workers as of the 12th. All of them were showing flu-like symptoms, and all it takes is one of these cases with the person with the right immunosuppression to where it can go from human to human, that all hell breaks loose with this. And we keep hearing about it, but it's on the undercurrent of everything. Like, you're not hearing about it really in like mainstream stuff right now. It's just like this headline, they're dumping it after hours. And I think that's on purpose. I don't know what the purpose is yet. But there's been 150 herds of cattle that have tested positive for this. That's also happening not just in Texas, but now in Missouri too. And in animal populations, in these infected herds, the fatality rate is 10%, which is massive fatality rate for a flu.
I've got a friend that actually works for the government out in Colorado for about 5 years. And she said, like, when COVID broke out, as a government employee, they were not allowed to say the word COVID outside. They didn't want them saying it inside, but said if somebody like had to do a news, before a news crew or whatever, that was the biggest thing, is do not say the word. There is not a pandemic. It's like, we're just not going to talk about it.
I think that's what's going on right now, is like they have plausible deniability because they can say, oh, we put the articles out.
Yes.
But they dumped them after hours on a Friday.
Right.
And then with the other things that transpired over the weekend, you can imagine it's almost non-existent. And to your point, Mike, this would be one of the points that I was going to make, is it would be a win-win for the multi-billion-dollar synthetic meat industry that we've been talking about recently. Because, if you can't trust your eggs and beef at the store, if they say that there's a risk that you may contract this flu, and these companies come and they're like, oh, but you can trust our eggs and beef because they're made in the lab.
I really don't want to have to be a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Because I'm not eating manufactured meat. I'm just not.
Well, you don't know what the long-term implications are. Like, they're using the lax cells, like the HeLa cells for some of that stuff. And, that's obviously a derivative of they took it from a cancer. So,
right. But I also look at, and I know this is a terrible comparison, but it makes me think, because how did they come up with this concept on that movie, The Snowpiercer, when they found out what was in the protein bars? Yeah. And it was all bugs. Yeah.
Well, bugs taste all right sometimes if you cook them right.
But once you find something out, it's like how badly McDonald's dropped off on their McNuggets when the pink sludge thing came out. It
didn't faze me at all.
Well, I've never eaten them.
I went that day and got some. The first time I've seen that.
Oh, I can't stand that texture of McNuggets. Ugh.
There's nothing better than a chicken McNugget with some hot sauce.
Well, now Wendy's has what is it? Saucy nuggies, and that's
Yeah. I saw that.
like, oh my god. But no, yeah, Landa, I will eat dirt before I knowingly eat manufactured meat. I just
and
I have to go buy me some damn chickens and a goat.
I did have a pun loaded. I was like, with the level of coverage that's almost non-existent around this, other than just random people talking about it, it's very likely that there's a wolf in the hen house.
Oh, no pun intended.
No pun intended.
Except it was fully intended. What's next up on here?
Did you guys hear about the disaster simulation this week?
No, tell us about it.
So this week, St. Louis hosted a large-scale earthquake disaster simulation for first responders and military. Almost 500 federal and local responders. They practiced responses to an 8.4 magnitude earthquake across the New Madrid fault, or Madrid, ever how you pronounce it.
Madrid.
So there's been videos of this. Now, take this for what you will. There's been videos of a dude for months predicting a 10.0 earthquake hitting St. Louis this year. And if this were to happen, like even if it's not a 10, you'll see it all over the internet. People will be like, this guy predicted it.
But they've been predicting the New Madrid for a lot of years.
The last time,
beast.
Say what?
It's a beast. Last time it popped off, it made the Mississippi flow backwards.
Yeah.
Well, I think the last time that area got hit by a huge one too, it was like around 180 days after an eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, take that for what you will. It may not mean anything.
It was like 96, 97 when they had the big predictions about it, because I was working in Jackson at the time. And I remember one of my coworkers bringing her children to work with her that day, because if they were going to be in an earthquake, she wanted her kids with her. And I'm like, they're probably better prepared at school than we are in downtown Jackson for this kind of stuff.
Well, something I wanted to point out too that I thought was strange about this, you never hear about these sort of simulations in places that actually get earthquakes all the time. Like big federal, I mean, you would think like California gets earthquakes all the time. They get big ones.
Hawaii.
And where's like and maybe we're just missing it, but where's like the big federal exercises on the next big earthquake in the spot that always gets big earthquakes?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Something just seemed off that they just chose St. Louis, and this dude's been predicting it for months.
Mm-hmm.
If not natural, we know that there is an earthquake machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't have it handy, but maybe next week I'll have it on deck. There is a patent and everything out there for that sort of technology. It's very similar to when we were talking about weather modification last month. I believe that it uses subsonic frequency still.
Right. And that makes perfect sense.
I don't think Boeing. I don't think so. I'm
not as of last week, because last week I think, or week before, because I was looking it up for last week.
That's what I forgot, is how it's going with Boeing.
Yes. You look that up real quick, and I'll talk about China.
I will say I was on Boeing last week, and the engines were looking kind of tired, and I just told the crew that if the plane went down, they could just throw that in as an update this week.
Yes, he did. But I saw a picture that, I would have requested another plane. That plane looked kind of rough, Tully.
There's worse ways to go.
You're a brave man.
Worse ways to go.
It should be a pretty quick way, too.
Well, yeah, you're 0 G on the way down, so you're probably passing out.
Yeah. You could have crashed down in my area because you went over it. So,
Yeah, go ahead and I'll
alrighty.
I'll
So,
look it up.
yeah. Okay. So, the Coast Guard this last week spotted Chinese naval ships off the coast of Alaska.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the Coast Guard was on a routine patrol in the Bering Sea, and they came across several Chinese military ships in international waters, but within the U.S. exclusive economic zone. The crew detected 3 vessels approximately 125 miles north of the Amchitka Pass in the Aleutian Islands. And a short time later, a helicopter crew from the Coast Guard air station at Kodiak spotted a 4th ship approximately 84 miles north of the pass. Said all 4 of the vessels from the People's Republic of China were transiting in international waters, but still inside the U.S. exclusive economic zone, which extends about 200 nautical miles from the U.S. shoreline.
Mm.
Yeah. Let's get a little close for comfort.
They's probably just fishing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They got them Alaskan crabs.
But yeah, they did say that they were operating in accordance with international rules and norms. But that's still, usually you would think they would let us know, hey, we're going to be over your way. What was it, Russia a few weeks ago that was off the coast of Miami?
Yeah.
We knew in advance that they were going to be there. So, China couldn't pick up the phone and call.
That's crazy. Mike said that years ago when they went to Hawaii, halfway through the flight, there were technical issues, and the crew told them that the plane was being retired after it landed.
Uh,
That makes perfect
You want to
sense.
hear it during the flight? Yeah, this little girl, she's had all she can stand.
Yeah. So they're actually not back. It says that Boeing's leaky Starliner and returning NASA's stranded astronauts to Earth is much harder than it sounds. This is on the 16th.
Mhm.
And they're still stuck on the space station after yet even more problems with the Starliner. And the investigations into the issue is very difficult, even for NASA.
So are we going to have to send a space shuttle up there and collect them?
Yeah, I don't. So they're saying that there's thruster problems, there's helium leaks, and NASA has now said that the astronauts may have to stay put until the next scheduled crew switch over in August and potentially bring them back on another ship.
I
Wow.
heard that Elon Musk was going to send something up to get them.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how far that. I assume that takes a little time to get together.
So weren't they charging $11 million for a 17-minute flight on SpaceX, or 17 million?
It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, after that, Boeing shouldn't be allowed to put anything up in there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was a bad idea when we first heard about it.
Yeah, everything had been breaking, quality's down the drain.
Hey,
We talked about before they sent it up, and we were all like, I think this is a horrible idea.
You heard it here first.
that's right.
This is not a good idea for them to do this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've at that time been having weekly
Yeah.
Boeing stories, and then they're talking about sending up spaceships. I've always been a firm believer in you should stick with what you're good at, but Boeing needs to get away from flight, period.
So
They're past their prime.
Let's go to boats.
There's 2 things I want to get out of the way this week. So we've had one in the chamber for a little bit, and there's an update that I'm going to talk about. So
Let's cook.
So this is just from a little while ago. $517 billion in unrealized losses hit the U.S. banking system, and the FDIC said that 63 lenders were on the brink of insolvency.
Sweet.
Which is a ton. I mean, that's a ton of money, and the government's been bailing them out, but they are once again on the rise. and it's going to eventually get to a point to where, because they're paying debt with debt is what it amounts to. But a bank is insolvent when its liabilities are greater than its assets and it can't repay its depositors, meaning the everyday people who deposit their money there, their money is just like locked up at that point. And that's why we have that's why we have the FDIC, which you see at every bank, that they're there for a reason, to guarantee your money if that bank goes under.
Yeah.
But they only back up $250,000, I think, per depositor.
Oh well, I'm fine.
And where do you think? I'm sorry, it was. It might have even been 517 trillion between 63 banks. That sounds better. That sounds right. But
if my bank goes under, they better give me my $38 fucking dollars.
Yeah, exactly. But if you think about like who's going to bail out of this debt, it's going to be our tax dollars.
Yes.
It's going to be your great grandchildren's tax dollars.
Yeah,
and their children.
Well,
because nobody can pay this debt.
no. I mean, look at Social Security. It has been, if they had left it alone, generations of people would be safe with Social Security. But, oh no, they can't do that. So, I mean, they keep talking about shutting it down. That's fine, but you need to refund the money I have invested and that has been invested for me on my behalf. And you can make it where you've got to roll it over into a 401k. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But why should I get screwed because the government,
So, and the kind of the warning shot, the reason I included this, so around the same time, the whole financial banking system in Cuba collapsed.
Yeah.
That was nowhere on the news.
No.
And you could only see videos of people. There were literally like queues of people, 500 people long, just trying to withdraw some money from an ATM because none of their none of their digital transactions would work.
Mm-hmm.
But what made me bring all of this to the table this week, there was an article that caught my eye that said China's banking turmoil, and who's our biggest partner in crime economy wise, right?
Yeah.
So they had 40 banks vanish this week, including a big one called Jiangxi that led to the collapse. Their banking sector's in full scale crisis. The 40 banks that disappeared were absorbed into larger institutions, but if you look at the root of their problem, it's going to continue to melt down because there's 3,800 Chinese financial institutions that are troubled like this. They have $7.5 trillion in assets, 13% of the total banking system, and they've been long mismanaged because they don't have the sort of same regulations that we do in America because of banking theft or there's protections for people because of stuff that's happened in the past. I guess they don't do that. So basically there's just vast amounts of bad loans and crooked real estate developers, crooked local governments, and they've all added to a big property real estate crisis. And this is a super rare disclosure because why would one of the global superpowers, they've never shown a spot in their armor that wasn't shiny. You know what I mean? They shit glitter. You know what I'm saying?
Why would they release any kind of thing that made them look better, worse than perfect?
Yes.
Yeah.
You need to find something new to invest in. I think I have an idea for them.
Yeah.
They should buy up all the land in heaven for $12 a square meter, $200 a square meter.
That is true.
Yeah. So
don't give these ideas away. We could have been marketing this by tomorrow.
I just wanted to talk about this because it's happening all over the world. We're seeing banks go under, and at the same time, what's even more scary is these institutions are wanting us to move more toward digital and less toward physical assets. That's honestly, that's what kind of scares me about crypto too, in a way, even though like Bitcoin's more secure than just an unsecured nonsense coin that you can buy.
Yeah.
But it's all terrifying. Like, you know, because if they were to go insolvent, the FDIC definitely doesn't have the money. And it would take a government bailout. And like I said, they may dig out of it, but it's going to be your 10th generation children still paying on this debt.
But here's the thing, and I think I bitched about this a few weeks ago. Why are people, specific people, you know, companies, making record profits and banks are going under? You know, where are they putting their money? Because
it's the same. So I think what we have to do is stop thinking about corporations as individual entities.
Yeah.
oh hell yeah,
Because if you get on any real estate website and just type in any publicly traded company, it's all BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. They're the top three shareholders of almost every single publicly traded company in most of the world.
well, I will consider a corporation an individual as soon as Texas puts one on death row. You know, until then, hell no, they're not, and they shouldn't be treated as such.
I think because what happens is when you get let's say if we three had a company and it was publicly traded, and let's say we wanted our company to have a certain any kind of stance, like financial, political, whatever you just insert stance. What happens when you get these State Street, BlackRock, and Vanguard involved is they now have majority board control, and they can challenge what we want to do with our company. Not just challenge, they can control what we want to do with our company, from the messaging that we put out to our employees to the overall direction of what we do with our corporate real estate, what we do with our assets, how we do business. They can control it all from there, pretty much. I mean, there's a little bit of stuff you can do, but they've literally got most of the publicly traded companies. Every one of the top 10 financial institutions is owned by them. If you go purely not FDIC secured, but just institutions, they're the richest three companies in the world.
You know, I've seen the best business model I ever seen in my life in my local where I live at. So there's this garbage company that sold out. They sold their company to this other garbage company, this bigger one.
Is it Tony Soprano?
No, like for a few million dollars. So you know what they did after they sold out to this other garbage company? They started a new garbage company and undercut them, and now everybody's switching over to them again. So they sold out, started a new company, and then getting all their people back.
You know, that's what a lot of business owners do. Like they'll work a business up to a point to where they can sell it and then go start something. Usually it's different though. Not the same.
It's not the same company. Like
well, honestly, that's whoever bought them. That's their fault. Cause usually you have to sign a non-compete.
Yes.
Well, I think they probably did for like 2 or 3 years or maybe even 5, because it's been a while since they sold out, but they're back, baby. Just a new name.
That's ridiculous. Well, do you want to hit something strange before we jump off?
Yeah.
I got one good strange one. So would you rather hear about anomalous space objects, or would you rather hear about CERN?
Anomalous space objects.
Okay.
I'm done with CERN for a little bit. We've already cracked that mystery.
Yeah, well, that's true. So a new study has found potential alien megastructures known as Dyson spheres.
Oh, nice.
Dyson, like the vacuum cleaner. And so they identified at least 7 stars that might be surrounded by advanced alien megastructures known as Dyson spheres.
That's like level human shit right there.
They were first proposed by physicist Freeman Dyson in the 1960s, actually. And they're structures that could be built by an advanced civilization to harness the energy of its local star. They apparently analyzed data from 5 million stars and found these 7, or at least 7, it says, by comparing the infrared radiation that could be indicative of the presence of these structures. There's been arguments ever since these were a theory to, observable, the infrared that they were talking about. But the basis of the theory, like Cecil said, is that there could be an advanced civilization harnessing the energy. Because, think about, like, if we had something around the sun like that, you'd never have to worry about it again.
Well, the Dyson sphere is basically like, we'd be like second level humans, you know what I mean? Like, we've harnessed energy like Bud's ground level. We have to use our fossil fuels. Then you'd have like your third level humans who can grab, like, we might even be third level. I can't remember the levels. But then the fourth level is like when you harness the energy of your earth, like kind of like Tesla did. And then the fifth level human would be like getting it from your sun and transporting it to where you live. Like,
yeah, they said that the structures would have to be massive, spanning millions of miles or kilometers in diameter, and they would be designed to capture and convert the energy into a usable form. So basically, if they wanted to, they could have a full-on like death ray.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting stuff. If you've never read about it, you should go out and check it out. Because the only way that they would even think that's happening is if they see like a star like blinking. I would think, like,
yeah, they said they're measuring it like with infrared radiation, or measuring the infrared radiation.
That makes sense. Cool. With this Windows shit that happened today, why didn't they erase my credit card debt?
I don't know. I was hoping the same thing. Why ain't nobody fight clubbing it? Nobody's fight clubbing it.
No, 1 billion computers affected, and it wasn't Capital One.
Right? It's like, what the hell have y'all done for us lately?
Steven said, "Are you familiar with a loan-in?"
A loan-in?
Mm-mm.
I've got a bunch of loan-ins. No, I'm not familiar with it. I'd like to hear more about it.
We'll have to talk about that, Steven.
Yeah.
You want to plug anything?
Weird Awakenings in
12 minutes.
12 minutes on Weird Realities Network. Tracy's doing her thing tonight, right?
Yes.
Shaman Talk, Shaman Walk.
Yep.
That's at 9 o'clock. Come back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern to watch us again. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to plug.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yep.
Oh, go check out my friend Brandon Lee Thompson's music. If you like sad folk country, he's doing a pretty good job with it. Go check it out.
Cool. And hey, dude for president.
Yeah. Dolly and Willie. So thank you for watching us, because we are watching you.
Peace.